Hey, I'm Mad Daddy, and welcome to Citizens of Earth. I'm also a scientist, a lifelong learner, and a father of four. At Citizens of Earth, we say talent is built, not born. Today, we're going to be talking about how to build resilience in kids, and I'm going to be using a backpacking trip I recently went on with my kids as an example. I told my kids, we're going to go on a backpacking trip to build resilience. And they said, can we just build a sandcastle instead? It's hard to argue with that. Hard times are part of life. Everyone experiences them, and hard times come and go, just like good times. Resilience is super important. Resilience is the ability to cope with and learn from hard times and come out better on the other side. To learn resilience, we simply do something hard and then reflect on how we handled it. When we reflect, we focus on the simple fact that the hard thing was temporary and we persisted until it was done. And that's a success. We do this enough times and we simply believe through our experience that we can handle hard things. To supercharge learning resilience, we practice the tools of resilience. Some of the most common tools of resilience are self-awareness, knowing one's strengths and weaknesses, letting our personal values guide us, self-love and self-compassion, a growth mindset, embracing imperfection, identifying and understanding emotions, adaptability, and coping skills. So today I'm going to show you how I took my kids with my partner on a backpacking trip to teach them some resilience skills. We decided to hike along Third Beach on the Pacific coast of the Olympic Peninsula in the Great Northwest. It's an absolutely gorgeous hike with some challenging parts for kids. The first day we drove from Bellingham to the trailhead, which took about 5 hours and included a ferry ride. Ferry rides are my favorite thing in the world. We then hiked from the trailhead to Scotts Creek. This was about 4 miles long. About 2/3 of the trip was in the Hoh rainforest and 1/3 on the beach. The transitions from beach to forest were the toughest parts. They were steep and involved using ropes and ladders to climb up cliffs. Overall, though, there was very little elevation gain. The second day we spent on the beach just having a good time. On the third day, we retraced our steps back to the trailhead and then drove home. So as you can see, there would be plenty of opportunities to practice the tools of resilience. By the way, if you're a parent and would like to do this backpacking trip with your kids, just send me an email. My email will be in the video description. I will send you a template itinerary, packing list, and a list of all of the games that we played on our trip. So a 3-day backpacking trip is not easy for young kids. Lucky for me, I've been doing this kind of thing with my kids since they were about 3 years old. A note for parents, my kids always complain, sometimes bitterly. Sometimes they say they hate me, and worse. That's okay. This is just kids expressing their emotions and frustration through words. They also always express how they loved the trip on the way home. They often ask when we're going to do something like this again, and they will talk about our trips for months or even years afterwards, in a positive way, just to be clear. Let me tell you a little about some of the challenges we faced. We got tired. Our feet hurt. My kids chose to wear Crocs on the trip. Crocs did not sponsor this video, but they have something figured out. My kids will choose Crocs every time over any other type of shoe. I don't know why. I mean, I guess they're comfortable. The kids didn't wear socks most of the time, so there were some hot spots on the skin of their feet where it rubbed against their Crocs, but not nearly as much as you might expect. And in fact, the kids loved it, and they still choose Crocs. At times, we were bored. We chose not to bring devices for the kids. Also, sand got in everything. This didn't seem to bother anybody except me, so that's Mad Daddy's major whine. It was hot and the sun was oppressive at times. We had to remember sunscreen and to stay hydrated. For my youngest, staying focused was his biggest challenge. He was always at the back of the line and I had to constantly nudge him in the right direction. Sometimes I had to carry him in the right direction so we could arrive at our destination before dark. Being patient with children was my biggest challenge. My kids missed the comforts of home. The kids didn't understand at all that we had limited food resources. They didn't understand that they couldn't have whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. They also didn't understand that we had to eat our entire meal, because otherwise animals would come and eat the rest. The most challenging part was the ropes and ladders. It was the first time my kids had done something like this, and at times it was quite scary. So how did we handle the challenges and practice resilience? I think one of the most important parenting books I've ever read is How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. For me, I've noticed that parenting is so much easier if you can adhere to the one simple rule from this book: validate feelings. I say that it's important as a human because it isn't just kids that need validation, adults need validation too. The biggest killer of intimacy is the rejection of a person's inner experience. We want to build intimacy with our children and our friends. After all, family and friends are one of the biggest tools in being more resilient. When we got tired, we didn't give up. We rested. We allowed time and space for complaining. It's healthy to complain. It's not healthy to ruminate. So we complained, and then we moved on. Another challenge was that I had to accept that my food was going to crunch when I ate it, even if it was soft like mac and cheese, because of all the sand. I tried to embrace imperfections. In retrospect, I wish I had been more patient. I'll need to learn better ways of coping with kids not being as efficient or quick or strong as adults. You would think I would be used to this now, having been doing this for 7 years with kids. Hey, kids are always learning new ways to test your patience. So when times were challenging, like when my kids got scared, I acknowledged their feelings. We took a moment to accept them. Then we also acknowledged that we had to do something even though we were afraid of it. We couldn't just stand in the middle of a cliff and whine and cry. We had to either go up or go down. I was extremely proud of my kids for handling their fears so well. They were scared of climbing down steep and slippery slopes with ropes and ladders, and they acknowledged feeling scared. Then they focused on what they needed to do physically to accomplish the goal. They went slow. They always had 3 points of contact. They focused on where to put their feet instead of looking down at the bottom of the cliff. Each kid is different in terms of maturity, body shape and size, strength, and mental composure. We supported each child in their own problem solving and adaptation. We also supported each other a lot. So there's a lot of benefits to building resilience. I'm preaching to the choir, but research has shown that resilience is one of the most important skills we can learn in life. Resilient people are able to manage their emotions effectively, think positively and optimistically, focus on their strengths and resources, seek support from others when needed, and learn from their mistakes and failures, where other people might just give up. Resilient people use these tools. Resilience is important for a number of reasons. It helps us maintain healthy relationships, succeed in school and work, cope with stress and adversity, and in general, just live happier and healthier lives. In addition, there are a couple other things that resilience has been linked to, such as reduced job stress and better physical and mental health. The last step in our backpacking trip was to make a record of it in our journals. This really crystallizes the lessons and the tools in their minds, and also it's super fun. I printed out some small color pictures for my kids, so each kid got at least one photo of the whole family and one photo of just them. That's the great thing about our destination. Third Beach is so gorgeous that I loved every single one of the photos. Then I asked each kid to write at least one sentence on some topics. My littlest needed some extra help with this part. So here are the topics. Thorns and roses. What was the worst part of the trip? A thorn. And what was the best part? A rose. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn that you are good at? What are you not good at? What were the hardest parts of the trip? How did you cope with them? And here I emphasized self-compassion. What did you learn while on the trip? There was whining and complaining on the trip. What caused this? When did it happen the most? And lastly, what would you do differently next time? And that's it. Now they have a great story and some wonderful pictures in their journal. If you like this video, consider liking it and subscribing so I'll make more videos like this. Resilience is a super valuable life skill. If you want to learn how to strengthen this and other life skills, it turns out I've done a lot of the research for you already. I've done a lot of research on what are the most important life skills and how to learn them. You can learn more at the Citizens of Earth website. There's a link in the description. Citizens of Earth is an educational organization that produces on-demand, science-driven courses that teach you about the most important skills in life. These are skills that you want your kids to know, but they don't teach in school. We focus on skills like skepticism, resilience, self-care, relationships, communication, finance, and ethics and morals. All skills that science has shown contribute to more fulfilling lives. Do you have a story about how you taught your kids resilience, or maybe how you learned resilience when you were younger? I would love to hear about it. Please put it in the comments. At Citizens of Earth, we say talent is built, not born. Thanks for listening. See you next time.